Do you feel like that you can't take it anymore, or do you feel like that life is just so tough you can't stand it, can't do another thing, you feel overwhelmed? Well, God gave me some really cool scriptures that I just want to share. It's very hard for me to do a video, but I'm going to make my first attempt at a video on how to deal with stress. I mean, it's some really wonderful scriptures in the Bible, and I just want to teach some people about it. So the scripture is Matthew 11:28. And it's perfect. It just tells you exactly what to do if you have stress. It says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden." So labor, it actually means weary, exhausted, and sometimes with the pace that we keep it, you feel just like you're worn out, exhausted from go, 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 go. And it says, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden." Heavy laden is just, I just can't take anymore. It's just too heavy. It's just too much. So Jesus actually tells us exactly what to do in here. The first thing he said to do is come. So we'll go back and focus on that. But he says, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." So that's pretty cool. He says, "I will give you rest." And then he says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you'll find rest for your souls." Well, let's think about that. Let's go back and break that up because that's an awesome promise. He even goes back further and says, "Take my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So if I'm with Jesus, it should be easy and light. But if it's heavy and hard and frustrating and I'm tired and I'm exhausted, something's wrong. So, and the Bible tells you right here what to do, tells you what the problem is. So let's go back. It says the first thing Jesus says to do is to come. So if we're worn out, frazzled, stressed out, can't take it anymore, he says we have to come. Well, how do you come? Well, God says in James to draw near to me, and I will draw near to you. We have to go to him. We have to drop everything aside, and we have to come. He doesn't come, it doesn't come to us. We have to go to him. We have to go to his presence. We have to go to his throne. And there's a lot more it has to say about it, but I just want to talk a little bit. And if this turns out pretty good, I might tell some more on it. But so he says we have to come to him. And one of the things he says about coming is we have to come looking at him, trusting him, and believing that he really will answer and that he really does love us and he's there to help us. So we have to come in faith, and then we have to come boldly. And the place is his presence. It's not running around talking, talking, talking. It's actually into a wonderful place with him. So the first thing Jesus says we have to do is we got to come. And then he says, "I will give you rest." So he's getting ready to tell us, how do you get rest? How do you not feel exhausted? How do you not feel that, it's too much? So first thing he says is, "Take my yoke on you." So he's talking about when the oxen, when two oxen are together and you put that shoulder, that little wooden thing there, and you pull together, two oxen pull this load together. Well, he's saying, I have to get in the yoke, in this, I have to pull the load with him. I've got to do it with him. So I have to put my arm around him, he puts his arm around me, and we're going to do this together. So we're going to do this together. He said, "Take my yoke on you." So, and it's his yoke. So if I'm there, he's shouldering the load and I'm just holding on and I'm attached and we're walking together. And that's sort of what he talks about in John 15. And I want to talk about more of that later about how we do that. But he's saying I have to do it with him. If things are hard and frustrating and too much, it means we're not doing it with him. We're trying to do it by ourselves. We're trying to shoulder the load by ourselves. We're pulling it by ourselves. We're making our own decisions. We're doing it with our own wisdom. We're just doing it all ourselves. And that's why it's hard. That's why it's frustrating, because we're not doing it with him. We're not looking inside for decisions. We're not seeking what he wants to do. We're not leaning on him for that grace. And I got a ton of things I want to say about this, but I just thought I'd do this for today. So he says, "Take my yoke on me and learn from me, because I'm gentle and humble in heart." So that right there is a couple of keys. being gentle and humble. And then he says, you'll find rest for your souls. So rest for your soul. It's something inside. Everything around you can be crazy, but you can have this peace, and you can have freedom and lightness, and it not feel hard and it not feel tiring. You can be the busiest person on the planet, but it doesn't feel exhausting. It feels like you have God on you and in you and through you, and you're doing it with him. And then it shouldn't be hard, because he says, my yoke is easy. When you're doing what he tells you to do, then it's easy. But if you do what you want to do it your way, and you're getting your wisdom on it, then it's going to be hard, because you're doing it without him. You're doing it without his strength. You're doing it without his grace. You're doing it without his mercy. You're just doing life without him. And so I hope to do more of these, of what that looks like and how to do this, but I just thought I'd give this a shot for today.